Hello and welcome back to Fallon Moran Radio. I'm trying out a new voice for this episode. When I listen to my podcasts, whenever I say hello and welcome back to Fallon Moran Radio, it just sounds so sad. So I wanted to try something different. Let me know what you think. Today's episode is going to be all about the ideal client because I had a revelation. And I think it's really important that I share this because, everybody talks about the importance of the ideal client when it comes to your business, whether it's online or, even an in-person business. We have a wedding events business, so it's like, I totally get it. And for the longest time in business, I just did not think that way. So I want to talk about it in today's episode. So let's dive in. Now, one of the very first things that, if you sign up for a business course or a program, one of the very first things that they tell you to do, besides identify your transformation, is to identify your ideal client. And for the longest time, it was so difficult for me to really identify someone who was an ideal client. And I think it's because I never really resonated with the term, because it comes to me as a fictitious person who I do work with. Okay. And that's why it really was so difficult for so long, because my brain does not work well with fictitious events or fictitious possibilities, whatever you want to call them. Doesn't work well with fictitious, because it could just continue going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So for a while there, what I wound up doing was I started using actual people who I knew as my ideal client. And while this exercise was probably a better exercise than coming up with a fictitious person, it was also really difficult because a lot of the time I wasn't actually working with that person. So it became much harder for me to visualize working with these people because, if I had like two clients and only one of them was my ideal client, then I'm questioning myself 50% of the time. So I had this really hard struggle. And also, what I want to add to this is the fact that when I went into every bit of business or product or course creation, I often always approached it from my person could use this. Like, this is the transformation they're struggling with. This is the result that they're looking for. My cat is being so annoying because it's 9:29 at night and she keeps opening the door to the office and the kids are right down the hall and they're asleep. So I keep trying to close it with the one thing that's long enough to reach the door, and that's the box for my neon light, and she just keeps opening it right back up and coming in and out because she's got to be in and out. And I'm going to close it. She's going to open it again. Here we go. I'm going to give her 3 seconds. 2, 1. All right. She didn't do it this time. Now I have to sneeze. So I'm just going to pause this and I'm going to pick right back up, going back to the point, which is when you enter into your ideal client with this mindset of like, I want to make money. I'm here to make money. I know that this is a person who I want to work with, and I know better because I've done this, that's not necessarily going to be how that works. Okay. So let me put it to you this way. This past week, I had a revelation about the transformation that I can provide. I think it's really important for you as a coach, a content creator, business owner, to truly sit back and be like, what is it that I can actually do for someone? What is the actual point A to point Z that I am confident that I can provide someone? Because if you are not confident in it, it's never going to work. Okay. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. I have learned a lot about money since I first started my business journey. Do I feel confident to talk about money? Absolutely not, because I'm not in a place financially where I feel like, oh yeah, I can be talking about financial advice, even though I know that, it's really important for you to protect your assets, and compounding of interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And, you should buy shares as well as, ETFs, crypto, like diversify your portfolio. Like, do I feel comfortable talking about those things? Sure, I feel comfortable. Do I feel confident? Absolutely not, because I'm in a shitload of debt, right? Like, there is still something there that's stopping me from it. Whereas if I give my financial, journey its space, and I get to a point where I'm like, wow, I really turned my finances around, I feel really confident in what I can do for myself, let alone other people, then that's a transformation that I can provide for, obviously not just myself, but for other people, right? So that's one example, and particularly an example that I'm not moving forward with, okay? There's another example, which is, content. I know a lot about content. I've been practicing and posting content for 6+ years now, and I have learned about all of the platforms. I've learned about short form. I've learned about long form. I've learned about hooks and topics and retention and watch time and all of these things. And I feel very confident that I know the difference between a bad piece of content and a good piece of content. So that's a transformation that I know I can provide. So if somebody is like not getting the views or not growing their audience or not seeing conversions, I feel confident that I can help somebody do that, because even though I might not have created, like $500,000 worth of sales, I have created 5 figures worth of sales online. And I have gone viral multiple times, and I've grown an audience multiple times. And I feel really confident that I can help other people with this transformation. So just because of my confidence level, it allows for me to enter into that transformation way differently than the financial situation that I was talking about before. Okay? What I want for you to take away from this is the importance of confidence in this. Now, we're not just talking about your own transformation. We're talking about the confidence that you can provide someone else a transformation. And so the revelation that I really had here is, when you're creating your content, it is really not for anybody other than the person who needs that transformation. And God, by golly gee, it took me 6 years to get there, but it finally clicked today. And I was like, it doesn't matter if my account has me in it or not. It doesn't matter if my account is repetitive as all hell. It doesn't matter if my account is only talking about one thing endlessly, constantly, because the person who needs that will want to come back to it all the time. And the person who needs that, who comes back to it all the time, is going to be a person who's not only invested, who's not only interested, but eventually down the line, they're going to buy. And so it occurred to me today that it's not just about creating the ideal client, just pulling them from thin air. It really does have to do with your ability to contribute to the transformation, your confidence in said transformation, and your ability to focus on the other person who you could, whether they're fictitious or not, that person needs this specific transformation, okay? So one other thing that I want to add in this episode that I think is highly important, and it plays a huge role in your content creation, your ideal client, your business in general, is your positioning, okay? How you position yourself is crucial, okay? If I've learned anything in the last 6 years, the most important thing is your positioning. It doesn't matter what area you work in, right? So like, it doesn't matter if you work in content or if you work in conspiracy theories or if you work in podcasts, like that overarching subject doesn't matter. What matters is how you're positioning yourself every time you show up, okay? So I'm going to share with you a statement that will help you. It certainly helped me. And this is not a statement that I have come up with. This is a statement from someone who I've learned with along the way. This statement it's like a Mad Lib statement. So you can like fill it in with whatever your things are. And the statement is going to be, my account or my business is for blank. This first blank is the who. So your target audience who want to blank reach a desired outcome. So we'll go through an example. So my account is for content creators who want to create high value content that blank a continued desire without blank. Insert struggle in the last blank. Okay. So my account is for content creators who want to create high value content that grows their audience, builds their business, and long-term digital assets without burnout. Okay, just an example. If you're someone in finance, my account is for millennial parents who want to increase their children's net worth and create generational wealth without sacrificing their ability to travel. Okay? So you see what the structure is. My account is for target audience who wants to have a desired outcome without the struggle. Okay? If you're someone in the spirituality realm, my account is for personal growth junkies who want to understand their soul contract without thinking that they're religiously crazy. I don't know. Something like that. You understand where I'm going with this. Point being, your positioning, you come back to it every time. Like, I have a statement up here for when I did Master Prac, and it's not value solicitation, it's the other one. I can't remember what it is. And we did it last week for whatchamacallit, but I'm starting to get tired because it's not almost 9:45. So I'm gonna start to wrap this up. I have this statement up here from Master Prac when I cannot remember for the life of me what this one is. I know how to do it. It's like, what are you good at? Starting things, changing things, or stopping things. And then it's a matter of be, do, have. So I know what this is. It's just not coming to my brain. So I have that statement up there. My reason for bringing this up is because when you could take your positioning statement and come back to it every day, every time you go to create content, you come from that positioning statement, okay? So your positioning is going to make every video that you put out there so drastically clear who it is that you help, how that you help them, what they can learn from you, what they can buy from you, why you're the person to do it, because it comes back to this statement every single time, okay? Your positioning is your golden ticket, if you were wondering. So I just want to share that in today's episode because your positioning has everything to do with your target audience. And within the positioning statement, it specifies and it outlines exactly what your specific target audience member is looking for, okay? It's going to be different if you're just going to talk about growth without trendy hacks versus if you're going to talk about audience growth without spending more money on ads than you need. Two totally different positions, okay? Because if you're talking about ads, you're talking about ad strategy, you're talking about spending money, you're talking about having a company that's big enough to support and sustain a marketing budget and an ad budget versus growing an audience on organic marketing, okay? So that's why it's really important to come up with your positioning statement because the specificity literally outlines itself from that statement, okay? Okay. I'm glad we had this conversation. I'm really excited for next week's episode too. I think it's going to be what comes out of your positioning statement and how it creates endless content ideas. So be sure to stay tuned. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to encourage you to share this episode with a friend or on your stories. And I want to also thank you for, returning to the show and for being here. It really helps, not just the statistics and the downloads and all the numbers. It helps me, okay? It helps me to continue going, and it helps that mental and emotional side of things, especially when the mental and emotional side of things are harder nowadays. So I want to thank you. I want to encourage you to share, and I will talk to you very soon. Okay, thanks. Love you. Bye.